Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, I'm gonna be dropping a sort of unexpected video that I'm sure you guys probably didn't expect me to be doing, but I'm gonna be doing a reaction video to Beyond the Mask new recent video that he dropped on his channel like an hour ago, I'm pretty sure. And he's because I watched it already, but I wanted to react to it and sort of like give my take on some of the things he says, and just just basically show some of the things he said on in the video as well. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing, is doing a reaction to Beyond the Mask new video on his channel, the dark and disturbing messages in Richie Kirsch's tapes that were seen in Scream 6. And so yeah, for those of you who don't know Beyond the Mask, go subscribe to his channel. Beyond the Mask is an awesome YouTuber, and yeah, so go subscribe to his channel. You guys can go watch this video on his channel as well. So yeah, we're just gonna dive right into this. I'm gonna react to it and let him explain some of the stuff in the video, and then I'm gonna pause every now and then. So yeah, we're just gonna get right into this. So
did a lot to expand on the story that was set up in Scream 2022, but one of the biggest things it elevated was Richie Kirsch as a Ghostface. Being completely honest, this elevation didn't actually come from the inclusion of his family. Radio Silence managed to enhance this character very subtly throughout Scream 6, and most of the time, the audience wasn't entirely focused on this happening. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's installment of Beyond the Mask, and today we're going to be taking a look at the dark and disturbing backstory of Richie Kirsch, and just what those hidden tapes were about that were played eerily in the background of the Scream 6 climax. In many ways, Richie Kirsch was written to represent the perfect fan of the Scream franchise. He was dedicated, loyal, and had a devotion to the movies, specifically the first one. Richie was evidently brought up in an overindulgent family, one which likely led to his parents giving him everything he wanted, regardless of whether it was right or not. This likely led to Richie's behaviour becoming more and more unstable, as rather than receiving discipline from his parents, he instead received encouragement from them, whether or not they agreed with his behaviour or not. At a young age, Richie watched the first Stab installment and became somewhat engrossed by the overall story of the movie. His devotion was solely to that one particular movie, as opposed to the numerous sequels that would follow it. Richie's love of Stab manifested into a mild obsession. His devotion to this one movie allowed him to relate somewhat to the killers of that particular movie, Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, simply because his desire to make his own movie began to grow. Throughout Scream 6's climax, a projector continuously plays a series of homemade videos that Richie had made over the years. What appears to be a fan home video actually serves as...
Hold on, I just want to pause it here real quick, but I think the great thing about Scream 6 is that it like sort of showed even more how obsessed Richie was with the Stab movies, because like as Beyond the Mask is showing here in this video about the tapes and that Richie had in Scream 6, and just like Richie making his own fan films since he was a kid. Like you can tell, like it shows Richie really was a big fan of the Stab movies, and not only that, but it was something that he loved to the point where he ended up starting his own killing spree, and sort of like corrupted him in a way. So I feel like it's pretty interesting, just realizing that Richie, like, he was obsessed with the Stab movies since he was a kid. Then later on in life, he would end up becoming a killer as well, starting his own killing spree, and just like starting, like, because here's the thing, is that we've had copycat killers before in this franchise, like Mickey, for example. Mickey was a copycat killer of the original Scream events, and he was obsessed with, Billy and Stu's murders in Woodsboro. So Mickey was also a copycat killer. So was like Charlie and Jill in Scream 4. But I felt like Richie, he was a copycat killer that sort of took it to a whole nother level, I feel like. And I think like it's just awesome to see, sort of how Richie, you know, let this obsession take over him. So I think it's pretty cool with, just how Scream 6 sort of, I don't know, it sort of made me like Richie's character more with Scream 6, even though I kind of already did, but it made me like him more. And so yeah, we're just gonna get right back into the reaction though. And yeah,
something darker. These aren't just the tapes of a fan, they're the beginnings of a serial killer. Initially, the tapes present themselves as replicas of the original movie. Various wannabe actors take part in the tapes, with Richie serving as the male voice actor for most of the male parts. We can hear recreations of Casey Becker's death scene, alongside recreations of Ghostface's conversation with Sidney Prescott during her first phone call with the killer. Hauntingly disturbing, these tapes gradually begin to step away from the recreation of the first movie, and seemingly take a darker turn. It's not easily accessible to the viewers of Scream 6, but the video shots that play during the final fights with Richie's family show that Richie was likely experimenting his killing styles in these particular home videos. Located in an industrial looking building, Richie is seen stabbing someone continuously during one shot, which then results in the building being burnt alongside the Ghostface mask he used to commit the acts of murder. The shots from these moments in the movie have no similarities to any events of Scream 1996, and his decision to burn the building likely indicates this could have been a home movie of an actual murder that Richie committed before he began his killing spree in Woodsboro. These moments are fleeting, but portray the worrying deterioration of Richie's grasp on reality. The tapes playing over the climax of Scream 6 serve as quite poetic in a way. Richie went on to recreate his own versions of Billy and Stu.
I think that, I just want to pause here again, but I think that's also what's interesting as well, is that, like Richie, he was like, I feel like, as Beyond the Mask pointed out, I feel like Richie probably did not ever get told anything when he was a kid, I felt like Detective Bailey and, Richie's mom as well, they probably let Richie do whatever he wanted. And, kind of just, because even Detective Bailey in Scream 6, he says that he may have pushed the stab films onto Richie a little bit too much. And that, Detective Bailey says he acknowledges that. So, Detective Bailey was sort of admitting his faults for, why Richie sort of became the way he did. And I felt like that's it. And like, it's an interesting point that I guess was shown in Scream 6, and even Beyond the Mask even says it here. So yeah, I think Richie's parents probably didn't really, I feel like they just let him do whatever he wanted, and they pushed his obsession even more by just giving him everything he wanted as well. So, and just like, the theory that Beyond the Mask pitched here as well, that is interesting, that maybe Richie, some of the scenes that we saw in those tapes from Richie in Scream 6 that he had made for his own little fan films, maybe those were like real kills that Richie did before he became a killer. Before he started his killing spree in Scream 5, maybe Richie even way before that was already killing. And maybe within those fan films, as Beyond the Mask pointed out, that Richie was showing, or that he had on those tapes in Scream 6, maybe those were him recreating those kills that he had already done previously before that. So I think that's an interesting theory from Beyond the Mask. And who knows, maybe Richie was a killer, like since he was like a teenager or whatever. Like that would be that's an interesting theory. Um and yeah, I think, like I said, Richie, I think he's a great just killer. Well, like he's a great character that I feel like was expanded on more, and this video is, I really like this video from Beyond the Mask, but we're just gonna let Beyond the Mask explain everything else. So I'm just gonna play the video.
His killings in 2022 on his own, which clouded his view of reality. In the climax of 2022, he refers to the events as a movie and even becomes frustrated when things don't go the way he envisioned it. Everything displayed in the tapes serves as a prelude to his own eventual killing spree. In many ways, Richie serves similarities to Roman Bridger as opposed to Billy Loomis, who he is believed to represent somewhat. Roman orchestrated the killing of Maureen Prescott and even had a love of making home movies, which he used to stalk Maureen. The home tapes played in the background during 6 were somewhat more representative of the Scream 3 climax, in which a projector displays the adulterous deeds of Maureen Prescott. Despite this, his efforts to create his own movie somewhat pay off. The closing moments of the fight
Yeah, and that's like the last time I'm gonna pause, but Beyond the Mask also made a great point here, because Richie is sort of like Roman as well, with him making his own, like homemade like videos and his own little movies, his fan films, and like recording stuff. Like Roman did that as well with, whenever he was like making his own little home movies and of like Maureen and Cotton, or not Cotton, but Billy's father, Hank, their their affair that they had with each other. And like Roman was like recording everything, making his own little home movies that were like displayed on the screen before Roman revealed himself to Sydney, and Sydney was just seeing all the little footage that Roman had recorded of Sydney's mom, Maureen, and Billy's dad, Hank Loomis, and showing like the affair that happened between them, and basically just showing everything that happened. Roman was recording everything, so he was making his own little home movies as well, sort of. And I didn't even realize that comparison until Beyond the Mask pointed it out here. So I think that's another interesting thing that is a similarity with Richie and Roman that I didn't even realize, because, Richie is similar to Billy, but, he's also similar to Roman as well, from what Beyond the Mask said right here.
Between the Carpenter sisters and the Bailey family, featuring a written and directed by Richie Kirsch credit, shows the looming impact Richie has had as a Ghostface and the impact his tapes likely had on the rise and fall of his very own movie, or more, the rise and fall of a very disturbing Ghostface. If you enjoyed today's episode of Beyond the Mask and would like to continue to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe and...
Well, anyways, guys, I think that's the end of the video here. So, yeah, I think Beyond the Mask, he pointed out some good things and had some even great theories and speculations, and just overall gave detail on some stuff. And, yeah, I think this was a great video by Beyond the Mask, sort of exploring Richie's background, showing the disturbing messages that were shown in Richie's tapes that we saw in Scream 6 on the projectors. And yeah, I think like this was a great video by Beyond the Mask, and I enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. You guys, like I said, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to Beyond the Mask. You guys can go watch his original video on his channel. And I think this is a really just fun video that he did here. And I think I also want to say this real quick. And I think Richie had created sort of, you know, he sort of created something memorable that would probably play a part and to even Scream 7. You know, I feel like his character arc might even carry on to Scream 7, because with Scream 6 we even had, not only did we have Richie's family, but we also had, you know, like the you know, Jason and Greg in the opening scene of Scream 6, with them, you know, wanting to finish Richie's film. Like, you know, I felt like Richie influenced Jason and Greg in the Scream 6 opening scene to go, you know, finish his plan. And Jason and Greg decided to take it into their hands to finish Richie's, you know, his plan and everything, his stab movie that he wanted to create. And Jason and Greg wanted to finish that for Richie even after his death. So Richie influenced killers just like Billy did. So I think that's interesting. So yeah, I think this is, like I said, this is a great video by Beyond the Mask. You guys can go subscribe to his channel. His channel here, to his right here on his channel. Go subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.